Next on the 5 o'clock report.
You could hear the tornado on the ground.
President Trump is dug in like a tick.
Temporarily shut down all live bird markets.
Choosing illegal aliens over the safety and security of their own citizens.
Elon Musk has got to go.
A business approach to the government.
There was agreement, consensus on number one, the Bible.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. One storm down and the next storm on deck. We've got another snow blast ahead of us for Saturday night. 2 to 4 inches across New York and Pennsylvania. Meteorologist Al Roker.
This parade of storms this weekend, storms moving west to east because of the jet stream. We're going to have 4 winter storms over the next 9 days.
Pennsylvania and parts of Virginia are still recovering from a significant ice storm on Thursday.
There are 18 counties that have reported in damage from ice and the storms.
That storm spawned a rare Tennessee tornado. 2 are dead outside Knoxville.
You could hear the tornado on the ground. It sounded like a freight train coming through the area.
Kevin has your weekend forecast coming up in a few minutes. There was a flurry of activity at the White House today.
I think it would be fair to say that President Trump is dug in like a tick. He's going to continue.
Donald Trump hosting the Prime Minister of Japan with no hesitation and Japan in the room. Trump said he's open to tariffs on Japan until trade is fair.
Tariff? Oh, yeah, sure. That's on the table. That's always on the table. You know, we have cases where we don't supply autos and other countries do, and we have to equalize it. We have to stabilize it and equalize it.
He also opened the door for Pennsylvania's U.S. Steel to get cash from Japan as long as they change the name of the transaction.
Doing it as an investment, no longer a purchase. Okay. I didn't want it purchased, but investment I love. And they're going to do a big investment, subject to getting the deal done.
And
they'll be doing a big.
I'm
okay with that, sure.
Founded in 1901 in Pittsburgh, U.S. Steel has plants in Fairless Hills in Pittsburgh and Clairton, Pennsylvania. A bit of a shocker in downstate New York today, days before the Super Bowl. Governor Hochul shut down every bird market in New York City after 7 cases of bird flu were detected.
Out of an abundance of caution and to thwart any further transmission, we're issuing a notice and order to temporarily shut down all live bird markets in New York City.
There is no immediate threat to public health. Bird flu has not been found in humans.
Live poultry deliveries are on pause. The markets are closed, meaning that they need to clean all of it to try and prevent the spread. But restaurants in the New York City area could see an impact Super Bowl weekend.
Those markets a huge source for chicken wings. Showdown over sanctuary cities. Donald Trump's Justice Department is on the move. Attorney General Pam Bondi suing the state of Illinois over its sanctuary city laws.
They're not wasting any time. It was just a day after Pam Bondi took the oath of office. A lawsuit hit the books that targets Illinois leaders steering the sanctuary policies.
Chicago's mayor said confidently last night, quote, "We'll see you in court." Bondi's reply?
They are choosing illegal aliens over the safety and security of their own citizens and the men and women of law enforcement who are out there trying to protect their citizens. Not only did we sue today the city of Chicago, we sued the state of Illinois, we sued the mayor, we sued the governor. And let me be very clear, if you don't comply with federal law, you're going to be next.
Border Czar Tom Homan says anyone who stops ICE agents becomes part of the problem.
We're going to do it, with or without them. If they're not going to help, get out of the way. But don't cross that line. Do not impede our operations. We're going to enforce immigration law.
There were more protests over government cuts again on Thursday. Many not happy with Elon Musk and his big red pen.
Hey, ho, ho. Elon Musk has got to go.
Does Musk think he is?
We will win. We will win.
That last voice, New York Senator Chuck Schumer. Pundits saying, though, you can't cut government size without cutting government jobs.
We're getting a chance to see what happens when you take a business approach to the government in the White House. People are freaking out. The same people that say we need radical change. We've got corruption. We need radical change. Okay, well, here's your radical change.
The president wanting to take the USAID workforce from 10,000 federal employees to less than 300. Mark Moyers, a former USAID employee, he says diversity training was mandatory there, and the organization was being used as a training ground to label people of faith as oppressive.
To infuse DEI into every federal agency, and we saw this. You have
people taking time off from their jobs to attend these indoctrination sessions, clearly pushing the message that people are divided into oppressor groups. Particularly disturbing that not only were they pushing with the organization, they're actually funding DEI events all over the world.
So far, 40,000 federal employees have accepted buyouts as Donald Trump works to shrink the size of the government. From government to schools, the Bible still makes the list. An interesting survey out after an interview with the former head of the Federal Education Department. When Bill Bennett was Education Secretary, he commissioned a survey about what Democrats and conservatives agreed need to be in public school curricula.
5 most important books that every student should be familiar with. There was consensus on number 1, the Bible, the single most consequential.
He says despite political party, the vote was the same. Jesus is missing from classrooms. And 2 congressmen from New York and Pennsylvania are introducing legislation to make September 11th a federal holiday. Mary Ellen lost her brother Thomas in the attacks on the World Trade Center.
So many other national holidays, and this is like the most profound of all.
New Yorkers give the idea a resounding yes.
I think it should be a federal holiday, if you will, and everybody should reflect and pray that this never happens again. You can never forget that day, ever.
The Bipartisan Patriot Day Act, if approved, would amend Title V in the U.S. Code to cement 9/11 as a federal day of recognition. Still to come in the 5 o'clock report, it is Friday, and that means a sit down with our Capital Connection crew and all things going on in Albany and Harrisburg. Michael Gear and Jason McGuire on deck next after weather with Kevin Williams.
Got more winter weather ahead of us. Still some lake snows to the east and southeast of Lake Ontario. A couple 3 inches of fluff there into Saturday morning. Low tonight, teens for most, single digits for some. And then Saturday's mainly cloudy, high temps, 20s and low 30s. It'll snow Saturday night. That's still a mix of sleet and freezing rain in some parts of Pennsylvania, especially south of I-80. Much of the region can expect several inches of snow to accumulate Saturday night through Sunday. The Sunday high in the mid-20s to the middle 30s.
Thank you, Kevin. Time for the shovels again. On Fridays, we get a sneak peek at the big issues facing people of faith in New York and Pennsylvania with PA Family's Michael Gear and New York Family's Jason McGuire. Let's listen in.
Big lobbyists, the big marijuana lobbyists being at the Capitol is very significant. The issue really is whether the people of Pennsylvania, whether the citizens of Pennsylvania will awaken and communicate with their elected officials about the dangers that come with the legalization and commercialization of so-called recreational marijuana.
Well, Jason, New York's Attorney General has told hospitals to ignore President Trump's ban on federal funding for sex change operations on minors. We're talking about kids here. She says this ban violates state law. Is there a jurisdictional issue here, or does the AG have a point?
Well, I think she's definitely going to find this one heading to court, because we're looking at federal funding, which she has no control over. And the Trump administration is warning these hospitals, all of which receive federal funding, that if they engage in these procedures and they go about mutilating children through these surgeries, they will not be receiving those federal funds. Now, the state may try to backfill that, but there's just only so many dollars to go around. I think the Attorney General is intentionally trying to muddy the waters for political purposes.
Yeah, one of the big efforts that's underway at the PA Family Institute this year, Michael, is to expose the rot that is Planned Parenthood. And you've uncovered some collusion here between that organization and the Reading School District.
Meg Brock, who is a contributor to the Daily Caller, has found that Planned Parenthood signed an agreement with the Reading School District, partnering with them to provide sex education, but included in that is gender ideology, all kinds of after-school programs that promote the LGBTQ plus agenda, as they call it. They did things like getting young adults to come in there and paint naked transgender bodies, but that's what Planned Parenthood wants to bring into the schools, and when a school district or a school board decides to partner with Planned Parenthood, that's what they get.
Yeah, and that's why we need Christians running for school board. Jason, Governor Hochul this week signed, I think it's called the SHIELD Act. It would protect doctors who prescribe out-of-state abortifacients.
Doctors who prescribe these abortion pills, especially out-of-state, will not have to put their name on the prescription any longer. It will be only the practice of the doctor, not the doctor's specific name. And that comes to bear in cases like the Louisiana case, where there was a doctor in New York who sent pills to Louisiana on behalf of a woman who gave the pills to the daughter in this case, who suffered some medical complications. Bear in mind that in that case, the New York doctor never even spoke to the woman who took the pills. That is not safety. That is not concern. We're not caring for women in this. We're caring about political agendas.
There was an interesting Siena poll out this week on Governor Hochul, Jason, still underwater with the voters. I think just a 39% favorability rating. Policies that she laid out in her State of State speech remain popular. Why the disconnect? If the policies are popular, why is the governor so not popular?
One, I think you do have the affordability issue that people are looking at their wallets and they're concerned. And even though the governor has used the word affordability, the word abortion is the one that seems to keep coming up to the actions she's taking. And so there is this discrepancy between her rhetoric and her record that I think voters recognize. And that seems to be the issue that is coming up in her race and may be problematic for her in 2026.
Yeah, Michael, I thought it was interesting. Donald Trump, one of the executive orders he's signing, would dismantle U.S. Education Department. He wants it at the state level. Back to the governor's speech on Tuesday. Did Governor Shapiro say anything at all about those lifeline scholarships or his appetite for school choice in this session?
Well, the governor is known to be somebody who wants to be president. He has made his desire for that to be known. And promoting school choice is not something that is very popular with the Democratic establishment. So he's been pretty tepid about it, and I don't know if we can expect him to be negotiating that issue in this legislative session. The voice of the people needs to be heard in support of school choice. That's what we're seeing in Washington, and we need to see in Harrisburg.
You can subscribe, listen to, and share Capital Connection and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org. Time next for tonight's market report, brought to you by Faithward Advisors. Wall Street is closing sharply lower to cap a volatile week. At the final bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 444 points to 44,303. The S&P 500 lost 57 points to 60,25, and the Nasdaq dropped 268 points to 19,523. Faithward Advisors is a Christian financial planning firm online at faithwardadvisors.com.
How long will you live? Hi, I'm Rob West with today's Faith and Finance Minute. Well, that's a crucial question, but only God knows the answer. Surveys tell us that people tend to underestimate how long they're likely to live. The average lifespan in America is about 75 to 80, but that's misleading. Actually, a man who reaches age 65 is likely to live to at least 84. A woman is likely to live to at least 87. That means many of us will have about 2 decades or more of life remaining if we retire at 65. Long life is a blessing from God, but be wise. Prepare for that blessing by setting aside enough money to last through your retirement years. It may be longer than you think. Manage your finances wisely with the easy-to-use FaithFi app. Download FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store, or learn more at faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, today just happens to be National Bubblegum Day.
Have you seen it? Yeah, we've seen it. Have you tried extra classic bubblegum? We've tried it.
Our own Mark Webster dives in after weather with Kevin Williams.
There'll be areas of lake effect snow tonight, giving another 2 to 4 inches in areas east and southeast of Lake Ontario. But otherwise, tonight, just patchy clouds, starlight, and a few flurries. Cold, low temps, most areas teens. For the day tomorrow, mainly cloudy, some early lake snow near Lake Ontario. High temps, mid-20s to mid-30s. Then look for an area-wide snow to develop late in the day and at night, mixing with sleet and freezing rain in Pennsylvania, especially south of I-80. And that precipitation becomes more intermittent on Sunday. Several inches of snow will accumulate in much of the area. There'll also be an ice accretion across portions of central Pennsylvania. High temperatures Sunday in the mid-20s to the middle 30s.
Thank you, Kevin. Finally, at 5, happy Bubblegum Day. Family Life's Mark Webster has some nuggets to chew on.
Hubba Bubba lets you blow amazing, no-stick bubbles.
In 1928, Walter Deemer, experimenting with new gum recipes, invented Blibber Blubber, a less sticky gum that also stretched. It was drab gray in color, though, so Deemer added some red dye he had lying around, and the tradition of pink bubblegum stuck around. Besides being fun, chewing gum while peeling onions can hold back the tears. Other studies say chewing gum can improve short-term memory and relieve heartburn and acid reflux. Some tips for blowing big bubbles: chew the gum at least 15 minutes, then blow gently. A hot day is best. Oh, and keep your hair out of the way. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
I'm going to go try all of that. Thank you, Mark. And that is the world that we live in for Friday, the 7th of February. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.